The Regional People's Representative Council of the province of Bali approved tourist levy. And Minister Luhut says tourist tax can be used to clean up Bali. Stay tuned for details. Welcome to the latest news from Bali and Indonesia. This is July 27th, 2023, and my name is Bruce. Selamat siang, almost selamat sore, late today. What is the weather like in Bali? Another lovely day, a little bit cloudy, but still lovely, 29.4 degrees Celsius at 2:30 in the afternoon. Humidity is 59%, and the wind speed is a very gentle 4.5 kilometers per hour. And I hope the weather is great wherever you are. So let's get started talking about the tourist tax, the tourist levy. This is a strict sanction for foreign tourists who do not pay a levy of 150,000 rupiah to enter Bali. The levy on foreign tourists has been stipulated as a regional regulation at the plenary session of the Bali DPRD, with the governor of Bali there, and that was done on Monday, this past Monday, the 24th of July. The levy applies to all foreigners entering Bali, whether by air, land, or sea. For example, foreign tourists to Bali from land routes and domestic departures, well, when that happens, the officer will be asking for proof of payment when entering Bali. The governor said, surely tourists use passports, therefore it'd be checked. As soon as he can't show that he's paid, well, then he's going to have to pay. The governor added that the collection will be carried out using an electronic system so that the collection of funds goes directly into the regional treasury. The governor said most foreign tourists enter Bali by air at Sanur Airport or by sea in Bajo. I didn't know that. Okay. But we also have two other places where they can enter by sea, over on the Lombok side and over on the Java side. He said, there the entrance is very controlled. It's difficult to escape, which must be considered by a few foreign tourists traveling by land. He said it's rare for foreign tourists to travel by land. They generally go by air. What if a foreign tourist arrives in Jakarta and then comes to Bali and doesn't go directly to Bali, but comes that way? Of course, then the arrival door is different, and that's got to be considered because they could come in on a domestic flight, or they could come in by car and by sea then, of course. The governor said he's going to discuss all this with the management of the airport and along with the Director General of Immigration in order to come up with a plan to make sure they get money from everybody. The governor said that if there are foreign tourists who violate this regulation, they will be forced to pay, and if they are unable to pay, they will be subject to deportation. The governor said we have to sort out foreign tourists who are purely traveling, how many days they're traveling, and also we've got foreign tourists with work visas for several months. He said this is why all this is taking time. Even if a tourist has a work visa, fees will still be applied. If he cannot continue with proof of payment, his passport will not be stamped and he will not automatically enter Bali. The governor said the implementation of the foreign tourist levy is the same as the implementation for during the pandemic with the PCR test, that if you didn't have one, you didn't get in. But the governor, like every other government official, is not worried. He said, I don't think there's going to be any foreign tourists who are not going to want to pay because airport tickets are very expensive, but tourists are flooding in. Yesterday, he said we had 19,500. And room prices have gone up to 2019 levels, and people keep coming. So 150,000 rupiahs, no one's going to refuse that. The Bali provincial government estimates it will receive funds of about 750 billion rupiah from foreign tourist fees. This is based on a figure of 5 million tourists. So when is this going to start? Well, it's not going to start immediately because it has to be socialized more. It's planned to start in February. Now, some places I've seen February 1st, some I've seen February 14th, and one I saw February 28th. But mostly the stories say February 1st. So let's just say it's going to start February 1st. But the governor said he's got to meet with the Ministry of Tourism, the Secretary of Tourism, the Minister of Tourism, and several other agencies before all of this was ready. And the governor said everything has to be socialized, so there's at least 6 months needed for socialization. And so that is going to be happening now, since the DPRD already said, yes, this is a regional regulation ready to go into effect after it's socialized. So starting in February, you can expect to start paying an extra $150,000 if you want to come into the Island of the Gods. Okay, and so this has been approved by the DPRD, and Luhut, the coordinating minister of maritime affairs, suggests that foreign tourist fees be used to overcome waste in Bali. Yes, the coordinating minister suggested that the Bali provincial government use the funds, and it's going to be some money, to address the waste problem in Bali. The minister appreciates the plan to levy foreign tourists of US $10. I don't know why they keep using the US. They're supposed to use Indonesian rupiah when they talk about this stuff. It's $150,000, around $10 US, around $15 Australian if you want to go that route. He said, I think it's really good for Bali. Why not maintain the cleanliness of Bali? He reminded all parties not to argue over the waste problem, bringing it into the realm of politics, he said. If there's an odor, I spoke to the mayor earlier, I said, fix it. Don't use it to become a political issue. And it is apparently slightly odoriferous. Previously, residents around Gilimanuk-Theme Integrated Waste Management Site, TPST, Denpasar, complained of the smell of garbage which disturbed their breathing, I'll bet. This complaint was expressed by installing a billboard reading, Cultural Village changed to Smelly Village. I love that. We, the people, do not accept rotten premises, let alone bad smells. Sandiaga, our tourism minister, has also been talking about the tax a lot, and he said tourists are going to come. They're going to flood into Bali anyway because they're going to be happy to make Bali environmentally friendly and help preserve Balinese culture. He said most tourists that come to Bali want small-scale, sustainable tourism like this. And in Labuan, Bajo, they are worried about money too, getting some money from tourists. Everybody's worried about getting money from tourists today. Labuan Bajo Port will implement one gate system for tour boats. So they're going to start this one gate tour system, I guess, immediately. And this is for boats sailing to Komodo National Park. This policy is being taken because of the rampant behavior of tourist ship managers who sail without having an approval letter or a sailing permit from the Labuan Bajo Port Authority Office. The main director of the executing agency of Labuan Bajo Flores Tourism Authority explained that so far tour boats have departed from different locations, and as a result, passenger manifests of some of the tour boats are not known for certain. He said the port will provide a special terminal for tourist cruise ships, and travelers will be required to show a ticket when entering the terminal. Tour boats will not be allowed to pick up passengers outside of the Labuan Bajo Harbor Terminal. They're going to have to go through check-in at the port to ensure that all passengers sail on legal ships. Facilities at the port are already to support this system. There is a waiting room for passengers at the port. And why is this being pushed? Well, you know, there have been several incidents of tourist boats sinking over in Labuan Bajo, and people are upset there. According to an authority, in plain view, the situation of the sinking of the tourist boat is not only negligence, but there's an intention to damage the image of tourism in Labuan Bajo and West Manggarai Regency. The last tourist boat accident occurred on Saturday, this past Saturday. KLM's Good Friend, which was transporting 9 tourists from Malaysia, sank in the waters of Pink Beach at Komodo National Park. It was later found that the tour ship, which started sailing on the 19th, did not have a sailing approval permit or a sailing letter from the Labuan Bajo Port Authority. And here we are in the high season. What about traffic? Every video I've seen, it looks awful. Credits. Congestion at Sanur Port still not resolved. What's the cause? The long traffic jams that often occur on the road to Sanur Port have become homework for Commission 3 of DPRD. The chairman of the commission, Anaka Gungnura Adi Ardhana, said that he received many complaints from the public about these long traffic jams, and he said he's been receiving them since February. The Sanur port area is often jammed in the morning from around 6:30 to 9 o'clock. The afternoon, also traffic jams from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. This was also discussed in a coordination meeting with Bali Class 2 Land Transportation Management Center, Office of Public Works, Spatial Planning, Housing and Settlement Areas, Bali Provincial Transportation Service, and a number of other agencies. And so people are paying attention in the government to this problem. In these meetings, it was stated that the government was observing the implementation of the spatial layout and preparing a line for the road to enter and exit from the port. So trying to find another way to get in. Now the government is pushing for all of this to go faster, not just being a plan. And so there's a budget for 2024, and they want to use that now and implement this immediately because we're in the high season and people are complaining. They should have taken care of this when they were building this, but that's the way things go. The Bali Transportation Agency had said that the way the project was laid out when they did this port was that the transportation routes could accommodate 2 million passengers in 1 year. However, they're looking at the numbers and projecting 2.9 to 3 million a year, or around 8,000 passengers a day. So there's a bunch of people, 900,000 people, 1 million people that they have not accounted for. And so the traffic jams are going to be there unless they do something. One of the problems, apparently, is online vehicles are parking as close as possible to the front of the port without having to pay for parking. So they're parking alongside of the road, which is, of course, a big problem here and has been for many, many, many years. The short-term solution is for law enforcement to do their job in preventing people from lining up parking on the side of the road and creating these traffic jams. The traffic jams not only disrupt the interest of people who want to pick up or drop off passengers, it also disturbs the surrounding community, like the vehicles parked on Nuarai bypass area, and there is no enforcement apparently going on about that. So the police have been asked to enforce traffic regulations. Apparently, a parking ban will not take place for another month or two to get people to stop doing this. They're hoping that people will start to use public transport or use vehicles and have a designated drop-off point where they can drop people off and then they can take a shuttle to get it into the port. So there's a number of different ways they're looking at taking care of this problem. They seem to take it seriously. I hope so. I have not been there, but I know if you're getting ready to go somewhere, you want to go from the port to another island, you don't want to be stuck in traffic for a long time. That's the price you pay if you're down in the tourist areas right now during the high season, because infrastructure planning tends to be one of those things that happens after there's a problem. They don't do it before there's a problem. And finally, what about the Gilimanuk-Theme Road, which I talked about last time, and the theme park? Okay, Tamba Regent believes Gilimanuk-Theme Park toll road will suck in 15 million tourists. So Jembrana Regent E. Nenga Tamba spoke about the maximum effort being made to attract tourists to his area. According to him, the construction of the Gilimanuk-Theme toll road and the theme park, which is targeted to be completed by 2026, will have a big impact. He said that the preparation of human resources for all this is very important in order to welcome tourist visits, which they want to reach 10 to 15 million people. He said, we prepared everything starting now. Pak Tamba said, when we get 10 to 15 million tourists, our revenue is going to go up, our local revenue, from 150 billion to 670 billion. Pak Tamba also emphasized that the purpose of this development is not just to make the people of Jembrana spectators of all the investments in their area. He believes that Jembrana's cultural heritage, such as buffalo racing and jegog, a musical instrument made of bamboo, will be able to boost the tourism sector. But with the toll road and other investments such as the Disneyland class theme park, Jembrana will not be inferior to other tourist areas in Bali. Let's build some more theme parks. For God's sake, we don't have enough culture here. He said, not only relying on our cultural heritage and theme parks, but Jembrana's got great culinary potential as an attraction for tourists as well. Their signature bututu and original chocolate. I didn't know they had original chocolate. That's interesting. He said will be an attraction for foreign visitors. With the prediction of very large tourist visits to Jembrana, the Regent realizes that supporting facilities such as accommodation and food need to be taken care of properly, and he hopes that all people in Jembrana will be active in taking care of tourist needs and providing fruits and vegetables and meat and all that good stuff. The Regent said that he's optimistic that the infrastructure development and the cultural potential of the area will make Jembrana a leading tourist destination in Bali. And so we've got the governor saying, I don't care how many tourists come here, we're protecting the culture. That's number one. We're going to keep people from doing this. We're going to keep people from doing that. We're going to charge some money to come in. We're going to do all these things to protect the culture. And let's hope we get 10 or 15 million tourists coming in, by the way. And so the disconnect between let's protect Bali, let's protect the culture, let's protect the environment, let's cut down on this mass tourism. We're not going to do that anymore. And then a week later, it's let's bring in more and more tourists. Let's build another beach club. Let's build a Disneyland park. Let's put in some more glass walking places. Another story I'm not talking about today. Let's do all that stuff and get in as many tourists as we can possibly fit in here. And how long will it be before tourists get tired of all this and start to go somewhere else? That's a question that needs to be asked, because tourists are a fickle group of people, especially the ones who think, I want to be with like-minded people. When the like-minded people, the influencers apparently, who have made Canggu into what Canggu is today and made Ubud into what Ubud is becoming, when they get tired of being around and packed in and charged large amounts of money for villas, well, they decide to go somewhere else. How many people will follow the influencers? Are the influencers really influencing people? Who knows? Right now we have the mentality of if we build it, they will come. Okay, and to wrap up, a number of Bule behaving badly reports in the press. They've got 2 tourists kissing while taking a photo that went viral in a well-known IG attraction place. The Gates, I forget what it's called. Some foreigners, a number of reports of foreigners stealing money in Tabanan from mini markets, and in some cases using hypnotism. In other case, no. And then, of course, well, there was a really, really bizarre, very short story about tourists sitting on the zebra lines, and they shouldn't be doing that. And then a big story that has gone viral recently in the last couple of days of an Indonesian woman who was beaten by her boyfriend, her foreign boyfriend, while they were in Thailand. They're both back in Bali now. Police are investigating. Nilu Jelantik has gotten involved in it. And so, of course, when she gets involved in that stuff, it goes viral. It is everywhere. And of course, we've got Galungan Kuningan coming up next week, I think on the 2nd, according to my granddaughter's school calendar. And so a lot of things are going to be closed for at least a couple of days there. So if you got things you need to do, immigration office, banks, and that kind of thing, you need to do it this week. Get it done now. That's it for today. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Stay safe. And I will see you next time.